Hello and welcome back to Monkey Gardening. It is March the 22nd. It has been an incredibly cold and recently very wet winter. I haven't really managed to get out in the garden yet, but I can't put off sowing seeds anymore. So that's what I'm starting today. So the first thing I'm going to start with is sweet peas. So I've had these sweet pea seeds soaking overnight in water just to soften the hard shells, give them a fighting chance of germinating. We've got a couple of different varieties. I'll also probably get some plug ones as well, but I wanted to start some off from seed. Over here, I've treated myself to some brand new seed trays. The other ones I had were all getting a bit tatty. The last few years I've been kind of doing everything on a shoestring, so I thought I'd treat myself to some nice new seed trays. These actually weren't very expensive. They're from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description actually, so they're pretty good. They're nice and sturdy. And the cool thing is you can see the roots of the seedlings when hopefully they start growing. It also comes with some little tools, these little vents for the lids. I'll show you when I put them together. Some nice little labels, good quality plastic, and some little instruction book about sowing seeds and things. So yeah, that's the make if you want to look it up. But yeah, it seemed pretty good. I've also got a load of herbs to sow. Again from Amazon. This is quite good value. I'll put a link to this in the description as well. So there's 12 different types of herbs here. I won't read them all out, but that's pretty good value. So I'm going to sow those. Herbs are about the only thing that, as you've seen in previous years, that really work well in my garden. And I've also got some sunflower seeds, two different varieties, giant and red. Again, they were from Amazon, I think. And also I've got here some dwarf teddy bear sunflowers, which look really cool. I'll put a photo of what they're supposed to look like in the video now. In terms of the garden itself, my plans are to get rid of some of the beds and just have a general tidy up outside. So the bed that's nearest the house I'm going to get rid of. The bed at the back of the garden I'm going to get rid of, and the one, the very small one which I made out of a pallet a couple of years ago, that I don't really need it, so I'm going to get rid of that as well. I'm also going to improve the netting on the big bed, try and come up with something that looks a bit tidier. As you've seen from the teaser trailer, still absolutely loads of squirrels in the garden. But I think I'm just going to have to try and make my peace with them a little bit more, rather than getting annoyed every time they come in the garden. As long as I've got that bed properly netted up, or maybe even fenced up, so I can get in and out a lot easier, then I'm not going to worry about them too much. It's pointless. What I might actually do is set them some puzzles to solve with some nuts, if I can be bothered. Okay, so let's get on and sow these sweet peas. Okay, I'm just using my riddle to sieve the compost, get rid of any big lumps. Doesn't seem too bad. Compost was from the local Lidl. It's pretty cheap. We'll have a proper look around in the garden, but not today, I don't think, 'cause it's about to rain. But as usual, it's completely waterlogged out here. There's hardly anything growing apart from the herb garden. There's onions left in here, which never really grew. They're still clinging on, so maybe when the weather improves, they'll do something. There's also some garlic somewhere hidden about. And Seb, if you're watching, there's the lettuce, or chicory sort of lettuce that you planted or sowed when you came to the garden. That survived the winter again. So yeah, that's about the only thing growing in here. As I say, yeah, that's the bed I'm going to get rid of, plus this one, plus the one at the back. As well as the squirrels, I've always had trouble with cats getting in here. They keep slicing open the netting and getting in. So yeah, some kind of proper fencing on here would be good. Talking of squirrels, one of the restaurants I'd like to go to has actually started putting squirrels on the menu. So maybe that's an option for them. Okay, I'm going to get on and sieve this, and then we can plant some seeds. Okay, so that's the trays filled up. Again, I'm pretty pleased with these little trays. They're nice and robust. So I'm just going to soak this in water, and then we'll sow the seeds. Okay, so I've just moved indoors for this bit. So that's the first lot sown. I put 2 or 3 in each little cell, and now I'm just going to label it up so I can actually remember what it is that I've sown there. So yeah, these are sweet pea mammoth, so they're multicoloured variety. Okay, they're labelled up. I'm now going to sow this lot exactly the same, 2 or 3 in each one. That's probably slightly less, there's only 25 of these. So 2 in each and 1 left over. So this is a variety called Prince of Orange, which look quite nice. As I say, I'll get some plug ones as well, but I'd like to grow my own. Okay, let's get them sown up. If you look very closely, you can see that soaking them has done the trick of breaking open that hard outer shell. So they should have a much better chance of germinating now. I didn't bother doing this last year and I didn't get much germination, so that's probably why. Okay, so they're sown up as well. So now I'm just going to dress the top with a fine layer of compost, label these and put the lids on. Okay, so they put the lids on. I'm pretty impressed with the quality of these things. They all snap together very nicely. You get a little vent at the top. You can even get ones that have a little grow light on, but I thought I probably didn't need that. But I might be interested in getting some of those as well. Okay, so these are going to go up in Seedling corner, which I'm not going to show you now because it's an absolute state in there at the moment. It's slowly going to be converted into a music room, but at the moment I'm still trying to get rid of loads of junk in there. But I'll show it you later after I've sown some more seeds. So I think next will be sunflowers. Okay, so I'm going to crack on and sow some sunflower seeds. So again, I've got my giant sunflower, red sunflower and dwarf teddy bear sunflower. So I'm probably going to do, I don't know, say 8 to 10 of each. I've got way more seeds than I need, but I may do a second lot of sowing depending on how these go. So I won't show you the whole process again. I'm just going to fill the seed trays with soil, soak the soil, plant the seeds, cover with soil and put into Seedling corner. So I'll show you when they're done. Oh, and Howie's joined us. He's going to supervise the sowing of seeds today. Okay, so that's my dwarf, giant and red sunflowers sown. The red sunflower seeds were absolutely tiny. I had to use some tweezers to sow them. So these are going to go up in Seedling corner. Again, I think I've said this a couple of times, but I'm well impressed with the quality of these propagators. They're only little things, but some care and attention has been put into the design and the quality of these things. They snap together really pleasingly. Okay, so they're off to Seedling corner. Okay, so it's a few days later. I've been trying to get out here to tidy up. It's been absolutely waterlogged. It's starting to dry out a little bit now. There's a little bit of sunshine. It's still really cold. Anyway, I've cleared away all of last year's pots. Dumped all the compost over there. I'm going to be getting rid of this bed eventually. I'm just giving these plants that are in containers. I was putting on a bit of sun. I was putting on the table. They get sun at the end of this garden, not down the other end. Howie's just enjoying a few rays as well. So the main thing I need to sort out next is this bed. It's gotten quite weedy. There's still some onions and garlic in here, as I mentioned before. There's also been a cat getting in here. In fact, the cat's more of a pest than squirrels at the moment. Unfortunately, it's been using this bed as a toilet. So anyway, I'm going to get rid of all this netting, make a start on getting rid of the weeds, and then try and come up with a better solution to all of this to keep the cats out. But hopefully to provide easier access for me than messing around with this netting all the time. I'm not quite sure what the solution is yet. The other thing I'm going to do is to sow some more herbs. Okay, so here's some of the things that survived the winter. Slightly sad looking bay leaf plant, but it's bouncing back okay, putting on some new leaves. This is my oregano that got completely scorched by the mad heat wave we had last summer, but that's recovered over the winter, it's doing well. Some sage that I sowed last year, didn't grow very much last year. I'm going to sow some more. Strawberry plant, although these strawberry plants are pretty much exhausted. I've got some on order, they should be arriving in the next couple of weeks. This herb planter, which I'm going to refresh with new herbs this year. I've got a load of herbs to sow. This lavender, which has survived the winter, just about starting to bounce back, some new growth coming. It's a strawberry planter, which I'm going to empty and put new plants in when they arrive. I've cleared out all of the rubbish and leaves and stuff that's accumulated in here. I'm going to dress the surface of this with some compost. These strawberry plants, again, I'm going to get rid of. They're just exhausted. After a few years, they just don't produce much fruit. Or the fruit they do produce isn't very sweet, or it's just really tiny. I need to have a sort out what's going on in here. My blackberry and raspberry. There's some new shoots coming, but this whole bed needs a tidy up and a sort out. These blackberry and raspberry were only ever supposed to be temporarily in these containers, but they've ended up just sitting in there for the last few years. So I may actually plant them into the bed, but we'll see. I may also get some more. Here is hops, which I've grown for the last 3 years. Someone gave me the plant 3 years ago. It's only the females that produce hops or hop flowers, and these are never flowered. So I'm probably going to get rid of them. Not really doing much. That's useful. But as I say, next job is trying to sort out this bed. Okay, so you can see how overgrown it's got down here. Grass and weeds, so I'm just digging them out. But in between, got some garlic here, and here, I think, and here. And the rest of the ones that are sticking up are onions. They're not growing much. I might pull one out actually, just have a look how big, see how big they actually are. There's Seb's chicory, radicchio, lettuce, whatever it is. It's actually looking ridiculously healthy. So yeah, it's going to take some time and just clear all the weeds out of here. Okay, so I just found this little critter, this little caterpillar, and I've just looked it up with an app on my phone, and it's the caterpillar of a owlet moth. I'll put a picture in the video. You can see what it should grow up to be. I'll find somewhere safe for this little guy to live. Okay, so I've had a first pass at weeding this bed. It's looking a lot better. There's some persistent clover, which is quite hard to remove, but I'm going to dress the whole of this bed with some fresh compost, so any remaining little weeds will just bury under the compost. That should finish them off. I'm not massively convinced that these onions are going to do much. I found a few that were completely rotten, but the rest seem to be alive. And I don't need this bed for planting anything just yet, so we'll leave them in the ground to see what happens when they've had a bit more sunshine, hopefully. Right, I'm going to sow some herbs, and then we'll take a little visit to Seedling Corner, and I think we'll probably call this an episode. Well, it's just as well I made the best of the weather yesterday, because the rain is back with vengeance. I wasn't able to sow my parsley because the seeds needed soaking overnight, which I've done now. So here, so I'm going to sow these, and then we'll finish by having a little look at Seedling Corner. Some exciting stuff is happening up there now. Okay, so that's my parsley sown. So let's go and take this up to Seedling Corner and see what's going on up there. Okay, so welcome back to Seedling Corner. Chaos as usual in this room, but these new containers I've got are a lot easier to manage up here. It's a lot neater and tidier to deal with. My sunflowers haven't germinated yet, but they've only been in there a few days. But my sweet peas have. So this is quite exciting, the first seedlings of the season. So they're coming through nicely, and so are the other variety. A couple just peeking out there. So that's good, so the whole thing is starting again. It was so nice being in the garden yesterday. There was actually some heat in the sun for a couple of hours. But the rain seems to be back again for the rest of the week. But I'll still try and get a few jobs done. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. It's good to have you back with me, monkey gardening again. Hopefully we're going to have a good year. Fingers crossed for the weather. Okay, take care. See you next time.